Right now all three quads are connected to the radio, and you can see that if I change the LED colors, they work together. And if I arm it, if I arm the quads, all of them would be spinning, and I could use the buttons here, to select which quad I want to show enable. So only this quad is arming right now, and only this video is showing. This arm, I change to a different quad. This quad is disabled, the video goes off, and this one is enabled. Now I can arm just this one, and if I choose a different button, the next one comes on. The other two are gone. The other two are disabled, and I can arm this one. So in a situation where we only have a certain amount of time to say like practice, and we only have limited help, we can plug all these quads ready inside the field, and then we can fly one after another. If one crashes, we just press another button, switch to another quad, and try fly that one, and the other ones would already be fail-saved and basically just lying on the field with the VTX off. So how do we set this up? I'm going to show you. First off, plug it in. First thing you have to do is to make sure that you already have the switches and buttons already connected to an aux. So for me, aux 6 is for turning on and off the VTX, and these buttons are used for switching between quads. So aux 6 buttons, aux 6 for switch for VTX, aux 3 for quad switching. First off, you have to set up the VTX pit mode. So at the modes tab, scroll down to VTX pit mode and press add range. So add range, and then flip this button, so it will automatically jump to aux 6, enabled aux 6 for this. So what I did is to set up the middle bar to enable pit mode, which is I think like 1 or 2 milliwatts. But what we really want to do is to flip the switch all the way to 2000 to make the VTX turn off, the HDZero VTX turn off. So how we do that is to use the CLI command. You can't really do this over the UI. All you have to do though is to copy and paste these two lines. But before you copy and paste, you have to replace these with the aux number. So remember, at the receiver page, we're using aux 6. So aux 6 here. And to replace the number, instead of 6, you do -1, because it starts at 0. So 0 is 1, 1 is 2, and now aux 6 is basically 5. So what I do is to replace this with 5. You might be on aux 3, right? And aux 3 would be the number 2. So copy this and just paste it into CLI like so, and save. So once you've done this, you should be able to turn on and off the video with this switch. So in order to enable the switching of quads using these buttons, you'll have to set it up under the modes tab using the failsafe option. What I did was to use button 1 to enable all quads. So if I have multiple quads plugged in, pressing button 1 and arming them, all quads would be armed. And buttons 2 through 6 are used to assign to only one specific quad, and pressing these buttons would only let me arm only one of the quads that are plugged in. So let's go into the Modes tab and look at it. So under Modes tab, we're using the Failsafe option here. Let's take it out and start off fresh. First, we add a range, press a button so it identifies these buttons as they're mapped to aux3. And for button 1, we want to enable this quad. For specifically for this quad, I'm using button 3. So button 2, we want to enable failsafe, but not button 3. So at this slider, we only want it to wrap around button 2. Okay, as you can see, button 2 enables failsafe, 3 and 1 doesn't. Okay, but we also want to make sure that 4, 5, and 6 are also covered. What that means is 4, 5, and 6 should also be enable failsafe. So here we add another bar using the OR operator, and here starting at aux4 all the way up to aux6 will enable failsafe. So let's save it and take a look at it. Button 1 enables this quad, button 2 disables it, button 3 enables it, 4, 5, 6 also disables it. So using 2 bars, we're able to only to enable 2 positions to enable this quad. Okay, so now that we have set up disabling the VTX on a switch, as well as switching quads on with the buttons, we need to connect between disabling a quad and disabling the VTX, so that when we change a quad, we disable the VTX on the previous quad, as well as enabling the video for the current quad. So what we can do is to rely on the Failsafe tab option here, where under fallback settings and VTX mode, we can add this, change this to set, and type in 2000 for this. What this means is, if we go back to the receiver tab, we click on this button. So button 2 disable this quad, and once it's disabled, aux6 would automatically turn on, switched on as well, which means that VTX would be disabled while failsafe is being enabled. So we failsafe this quad. At the same time, while it's failsafed, VTX pit mode, this switch would be treated as though it's set to 2000. So we don't really have to flip this switch to disable the video. All we need to do is just to change to a different quad. The previous quad would have VTX and failsafe enabled, VTX disabled and failsafe enabled. The new quad would have their failsafe disabled, so you can actually arm this quad. And whether the video is turned on or not depends on this switch. So if this switch is at this position, default position, video would be on. If I have this at this position, video would be off. One last thing we have to be careful with is the ELRS Lua script that is enabled on the radio. These are my settings, and if you go into VTX admin, normally you would see R1, which is the channel, and then there is another number behind it, which is the power level. But for in order to be able to use all this without having the Lua script overriding your video settings, you must change this instead of going from 1 to the dash, which means that whenever the Lua script tries to send the command to the quad, it would ignore the power level. So it would not change the power level using the command from the radio. So a lot of times when you plug in your quad, it might be turned on, the video might be turned on, it might be turned off, depending on the switch. But if you have this disabled, it would basically fall back to having listening to whatever you've done with the switch. So if you want your quad to have video disabled upon plug-in, flip the VTX switch to the disabled VTX position. Make sure that is in a dash, and then just plug in your quad and it should plug in with video off. So that's all with all the setup, and if you have any questions, let me know. If there's anything wrong with what I've done, do let me know. This is working for me so far, and hopefully this helps you with your setup in your race. Thank you.